Well, hello there, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of After Her Lies. That's my channel name. Don't ask me why I picked that. It was my grandson's idea, and now I'm stuck with it. I'm your host, Frank Peterson, and boy, do I have a story for you today. But before we get started, I gotta tell you something that just breaks this old heart of mine. You see that little number down there? 96% of you watching right now aren't subscribed to my channel. 96%. That's well, that's almost all of you. It costs you nothing, takes 2 seconds, and it would mean the world to an old guy like me. So please hit that subscribe button, would you? And while you're at it, give this video a thumbs up if you like what you hear. Comments too. I read every single one, and they keep me going on the tough days. Now the story I'm about to tell you happened 52 years ago, back in 1973. I was 23 years old, fresh out of college, working my first real job at Henderson Manufacturing in Detroit. Making decent money for a kid from nowhere, living in a studio apartment that smelled like cabbage and cigarettes, thinking I had the whole world figured out. Lord, was I wrong about everything. It was a Tuesday morning in September when she walked into our office. Her name was Catherine Marie Sullivan, but everyone called her Cat. She had this auburn hair that caught the light just so, and these green eyes that seemed to see right through whatever wall you tried to put up. She was there about some contract dispute. Her father owned Sullivan's Metalworks, one of our suppliers. The meeting was supposed to be with my boss, Mr. Henderson, but he was out sick with the flu. So guess who got stuck dealing with this angry customer? I remember straightening my tie, trying to look professional, walking into that conference room like I knew what I was doing. She was sitting there in this navy blue dress, tapping her fingers on the table, looking like she was ready to tear someone's head off. The moment I introduced myself, she looked me up and down and said, "They sent me a kid. This is what Henderson Manufacturing considers professional representation." I should have been insulted. Instead, I laughed. Something about the way she said it, the fire in her voice, it just struck me as funny. She stared at me like I'd lost my mind, but then the corners of her mouth started to twitch, and before you know it, she was laughing too. That meeting lasted 4 hours. 4 hours. We were supposed to discuss late shipments and quality control, but somehow we ended up talking about everything else under the sun. She told me about growing up in her father's shop, how she could run a lathe before she could drive a car. I told her about my dreams of maybe starting my own business someday, maybe getting out of Detroit, seeing what else was out there. When she finally left that day, she paused at the door and said, "You know what, kid? You're not half bad." Then she was gone, leaving behind just the faintest trace of her perfume and the feeling that something important had just happened. I didn't see her again for 3 weeks. Couldn't get her out of my head, though. Every time the phone rang, every time someone walked through those office doors, I thought maybe it would be her. Finally, I worked up the courage to call Sullivan's Metalworks. Made up some excuse about following up on our meeting. Her father answered. "Cat? Yeah, she's here. Hold on." Then I heard him holler across the shop. "Katie, some kid from Henderson's on the phone." When she picked up, she sounded amused. Well, the kid from Henderson's. What can I do for you?" I stumbled through some nonsense about contract terms, but she cut me off. "Frank Peterson, are you calling me for business, Or are you calling to ask me out? My mouth went dry. What would you say if it was the second one? I'd say it took you long enough. Our first date was the following Saturday. I picked her up at her apartment, this cute little place above a bakery on the east side. She came down wearing jeans and a red sweater, her hair pulled back in a ponytail, looking more beautiful than any movie star I'd ever seen. We went to see The Exorcist at the drive-in, though neither of us paid much attention to the movie. We talked until 3 in the morning, sitting in my old Chevy, sharing a bag of stale popcorn and watching the sun come up. The next 6 months were like something out of a dream. We went everywhere together. Tigers games at the old stadium, dancing at the Motown clubs downtown, long drives out to Lake Huron on weekends. She taught me how to weld, and I taught her how to change the oil in her car. We fit together like puzzle pieces, like we'd been waiting our whole lives to find each other. I was head over heels, completely gone. Started carrying around this little velvet box my grandmother had given me, with her engagement ring inside. Figured I'd propose on Christmas Eve, make it all romantic and perfect. But life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. It was December 15th, 1973. I remember the date because it was exactly a week before I planned to propose. Kat had been acting strange for a few days, quiet and distant. When I asked her about it, she'd just smile and change the subject. I thought maybe she was stressed about Christmas, or maybe her father was giving her trouble at work again. She asked to meet me at Mickey's Diner, this little greasy spoon we used to go to after the bars closed. I got there first, ordered coffee, waited. When she walked in, I could tell immediately something was wrong. Her eyes were red, like she'd been crying, and she had this look on her face I'd never seen before. She sat down across from me, wouldn't look me in the eye. "Frank," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "we need to talk." Those 4 words, I swear they hit me like a punch to the gut. You always know what's coming when someone says that, don't you? "I'm leaving Detroit," she said. "I'm moving to California. There's a job opportunity in San Francisco, working for a big aerospace company. It's what I've always wanted." I stared at her, trying to process what she was saying. "California? Kat, what are you talking about? What about us? What about everything we've been building here?" She finally looked at me then, and I could see tears in her eyes. "Frank, you're a wonderful man. These past months with you have been the happiest of my life, but I can't stay here. I can't be the girl who gives up her dreams to follow someone else's plan. But what if I came with you? What if we went together?" She shook her head. "You have your life here, your job, your family. I can't ask you to give all that up for me." "You're not asking, I'm offering. And I'm saying no." Her voice was firm now, decided. "This is something I have to do alone." We sat there in silence for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. Finally, I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out that little velvet box, set it on the table between us. "I was going to ask you to marry me next week," I said. "Christmas Eve. Had it all planned out." She looked at the box like it might bite her. "Frank, don't do this." "I'm not doing anything. I'm just telling you. I love you, Kat. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. If that means California, then we go to California. If it means anywhere else in the world, then that's where we go." The tears were flowing freely now, but she was shaking her head. I can't let you do that. Someday you'd resent me for it. Someday you'd wonder what your life would have been like if you'd stayed, if you'd followed your own path instead of mine. That's not true. It is true, and you know it. She stood up, grabbed her purse. I leave on Sunday. I didn't want to tell you like this, but I couldn't just disappear. Kat, please. She leaned down and kissed me on the forehead, soft and gentle. Goodbye, Frank. Be happy. And then she was gone. Just like that. Left me sitting in that diner with a ring box and a broken heart and no idea what to do with either one. I didn't try to stop her. Maybe I should have, but I didn't. Part of me was angry. How could she make this decision for both of us? But another part of me, the part that really loved her, understood. She was right about one thing. I would have followed her anywhere, given up anything for her. And maybe she was right about the rest of it too. Sunday came and went. I drove by the airport that evening, sat in the parking lot for an hour, but I didn't go inside. What would have been the point? Life moved on, the way it always does. I threw myself into work, got a promotion, eventually started my own business, like I'd always planned. Met a good woman named Linda 5 years later, married her, had kids, built a nice life. Linda passed away 8 years ago, cancer, and she was a good wife, a good mother. I don't want you to think I was pining away for some lost love my whole life, because that wouldn't be fair to her memory. But I never forgot about Kat Sullivan. Then, about 6 months ago, something incredible happened. My neighbor's kid was helping me set up this YouTube channel. Don't ask me why I wanted to start making videos at my age. Seemed like a good idea at the time. And he was showing me how to search for people on the internet. Just for fun, I typed in Catherine Sullivan, San Francisco. And there she was. Dr. Catherine Marie Sullivan, retired aerospace engineer, former NASA consultant, recipient of about a dozen awards I couldn't pronounce. There was a picture from some engineering conference, and even though 50 years had passed, even though her hair was silver now and there were lines around her eyes, I knew it was her immediately. Same smile, same way of holding her head like she was challenging the world to a fight. The article mentioned that she was recently widowed, that she'd moved back to Michigan to be closer to family. Living in Grand Rapids, about 2 hours from here. I stared at that computer screen for I don't know how long. My neighbor's kid had to ask me 3 times if I was okay. I spent the next 2 weeks debating whether to reach out. What do you say to someone after 50 years? How do you even begin that conversation? But finally, I worked up the courage to find her address and write a letter. Old-fashioned, I know, but it seemed more appropriate than some email or Facebook message. I kept it simple. Told her who I was, that I'd seen the article about her career, offered my condolences for her husband's passing. Said if she ever wanted to catch up over coffee, I'd love to hear about her life. Signed it, Frank Peterson, formerly of Henderson Manufacturing. 2 weeks later, I got a phone call. Is this Frank Peterson, the kid from Henderson's? I nearly dropped the phone. Her voice was older, a little raspier, but unmistakably hers. Kat, my God, is that really you? She laughed, and it was like being transported back 50 years. Well, I'm certainly not the girl you knew, but yes, it's me. We talked for 3 hours that first call. 3 hours. Caught up on everything. Her career, her late husband Michael, who sounded like a good man, my Linda, our kids, grandkids, all of it. It felt like no time had passed at all, but also like everything had changed. She agreed to meet for coffee the next weekend. I spent the entire week nervous as a teenager, changing clothes 5 times before I left the house. We met at a little cafe in Grand Rapids, and when I walked in and saw her sitting there, my heart did this funny little skip just like it used to. She looked good, really good. The years had been kind to her, and there was something in her eyes, a contentment I hadn't seen back when we were young, and everything felt so urgent and dramatic. "Hello, Frank," she said when I sat down across from her. "You look exactly the same, just with less hair. And you look better than you did at 25. Flatterer. But she was smiling. We spent the afternoon walking around downtown Grand Rapids, talking about everything and nothing. She told me about her career, how she'd worked on some of the early space shuttle designs, how she'd traveled all over the world for her job. Her husband Michael had been a professor. They'd never had children, but had been very happy together. "Do you ever wonder," I asked as we were walking along the river, "what would have happened if you'd stayed, if we'd gotten married like I wanted?" She was quiet for a long moment. "Of course I do. But Frank, I also know that leaving was the right decision, not just for me, but for both of us. You built a good life here. You were meant to stay, to put down roots, to have a family. I was meant to fly. And now I'm tired of flying." That was 3 months ago. We've been seeing each other regularly ever since. Dinner once a week, phone calls every day, long drives around Michigan looking at the fall colors. It's different from what we had 50 years ago, but it's also deeper somehow, less desperate, more peaceful. Last week, she was helping me organize some old photos for another one of these videos when she came across something in my desk drawer. That little velvet box with my grandmother's ring inside. I'd kept it all these years, never really knowing why. "Frank Peterson," she said, holding up the box. "Is this what I think it is?" I felt my face go red. I know it's silly, keeping it all this time. I meant to give it to Linda, but it never felt right. And then after she passed, I just... "May I?" She opened the box and looked at the ring for a long time. It's not much, just a simple gold band with a small diamond, but it was my grandmother's, and it meant something. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "Cat," I said, and my voice came out all shaky. "I know we're not kids anymore. I know a lot of water has passed under the bridge. But these past few months, being with you again, it feels like coming home after a long journey. I don't know how much time either of us has left, but whatever time there is, I'd like to spend it with you." She looked at me with those same green eyes, still sharp, still seeing right through me. "Are you asking me what I think you're asking me?" "I guess I am." She smiled then, that same mischievous smile that had captured my heart 50 years ago. "Well," she said, "it only took you 52 years to work up the nerve. She's wearing the ring now. We're planning a small ceremony in the spring, just family and close friends. My kids think I've lost my mind, getting married again at my age, but my granddaughter, the one who helped me start this channel, she thinks it's the most romantic thing she's ever heard." Sometimes the best love stories aren't the ones that follow a straight path. Sometimes they twist and turn, take you on detours you never expected, separate you for decades, and then bring you back together when you least expect it, but most need it. I don't know what our future holds. We're both in our 70s now, and we've got more years behind us than ahead of us. But I've learned something in all my years on this earth. Love isn't just for the young. Sometimes it takes a lifetime to understand what really matters, to appreciate what you have instead of mourning what you've lost. Kat moves in with me next month. She says she's excited to finally see what all the fuss is about with this YouTube thing. Maybe she'll help me make some videos about engineering or space travel, or something more educational than an old man's rambling stories. Speaking of which, we've reached the end of today's story, and I hope it meant something to you. Love, loss, second chances. These are the things that make life worth living, no matter how old you get. Now, before I sign off, I'm going to ask you one more time. If you enjoyed this story, if it touched your heart or made you think about someone in your own life, please hit that subscribe button. Remember, 96% of you aren't subscribed, and that still makes this old heart sad. Takes 2 seconds, costs you nothing, means everything to me. Leave me a comment too, would you? Tell me about your own love story, or ask Kat and me a question for next week's video. And smash that like button if you think an old guy deserves a second chance at happiness. Until next time, this is Frank Peterson, reminding you that it's never too late for a new beginning, and the best chapters of your story might still be waiting to be written. Thanks for watching After Her Lies, and I'll see you in the next one.